Good evening and welcome back to a very serious edition of the Pint-Sized Preview. After last week's shenanigans, we've got a full studio this week, so expect an awful lot of carnage. And we're going to waste no time at all because I am, 42 minutes late. The missus, or the Wickham Wag, as someone has called her in the past, can only apologise enough. So let's bring in our 5 guests this evening, see what they're all drinking, and we will crack on with tonight's episode. Let's first bring in Aaron. Evening, mate.
Evening, mate. You all right?
Oh, not so bad, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate.
What is it you're drinking tonight?
Bottle of Rebellion Blonde tonight.
Oh, good choice. Good choice. For obvious reasons, of course. Still waiting for that brandy.
We are, yeah. I know there's someone else drinking it as well, so a bit more promo for them.
Fantastic. We'll make sure to tag them in the comments post production. Let's bring in Kyle. Good evening, mate.
Evening, mate. All right? In voice. Cheers.
How are we doing?
Yeah, not bad. I've got a very sophisticated mojito tonight. But you be giving me disapproving looks, Madry. Cheers.
Who else have you got waiting? Cheers. Let's bring in Jaden as well. Evening, mate.
Evening, boys. How we doing?
Not bad. You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just recovered from sickness bug, so I'm drinking nothing tonight just to save my stomach for the last day of work and then go fucking crazy tomorrow night.
Good lad.
I was going to say, that's no excuse, really. Surely the beer should be a treatment as such.
Yeah, Guinness will settle your stomach, won't it?
I don't know. I'm not trusting anything after this morning's shenanigans, so I think I'll have to miss out again tonight, sadly.
Let's bring in DJ next, who, well, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that he's back in Wickham. Evening, mate.
Good evening. It is a good thing. What? Oh, fuck you. Anyway, yes. I do enjoy being back at Wickham. Mean to get to go to the match. Obviously, well, not tomorrow, the day after, whatever that Saturday. Yes, Saturday.
Yeah.
So, really looking forward to that, being back in the terrace, which is good after going to away games and watching online, which is a bit shit. Let's see if I can.
Are you joining us with a beer tonight?
I have got a vodka and lemonade because that's what I could find very quickly after dinner. Which, yeah.
Fair enough. A lot of feminine choices tonight.
What? What's that supposed to mean?
A mojito, and no drink at all.
What? If anything, the fact liquor gets you drunk quicker, ergo it should be more male, surely, should it not? Beer gets you drunk less quickly, so it should be more feminine, surely, by your logic.
Look at that mask looking over his shoulder while he drinks it.
Oh, God.
So fucking creepy that, honestly.
Talking about the mask, George, in the pre-show, what was it? Fucking lobby.
I'm going to have to zoom in to get a good look. Who is it?
It's Gareth Ainsworth.
Oh, okay.
He put it over his bed.
Is that from the? I'm trying to
Hey,
remember.
says that, mate.
Yeah.
If you look close enough, it's you, George.
Right. And then last but not least, bring in Chris, who is waiting in the wings. Evening, Chris.
Good evening. I was there admiring DJ's love mask.
Chris, that light you've got there, mate, is giving you this sort of divine halo.
I know, it is.
Oh my god. This is already a train wreck.
Hey, you all right?
I'm not bad, Chris. How are you, mate?
I am very well, thank you. We broke up today, so that school broke up. Don't worry, Kyle.
That was the other conversation.
That was going to be
Yeah, school broke up. So lovely. Turn the alarm off. There we go.
Are you joining us with a beer tonight to get?
I am
the drink
just
back
like my
through?
brother from another mother.
Hey.
Good
Right.
choice, good choice.
Annie's just said, can I say I love everybody taking the piss out of you? So she clearly enjoys it as well.
Love you, Annie.
What's she been for the last 12 weeks?
Oh my god.
Does she know that you told us that she wears the Gareth Ainsworth love mask?
No,
And does she know that she's agreed to? Apparently, according to you, she's agreed to wear it on the terrace when she comes down for the Rovers game.
I did not say.
Topless Tom has agreed to give her a gilet.
Oh my god!
You can't go back in it now that we're live.
Yeah,
Honestly, mate.
Yeah. By the end of the match, he'll be in topless Tom's gilet, the Gareth Ainsworth mask, and Kyle's stupid hat that he's got. as Aaron fiddles with a bobble.
I was trying to eat it the other day. I was like,
right, let's first of all make it a little bit more Christmassy in here with a few Christmas hats. And I mean, let's just jump straight into it with a quite serious topic this week. I know that doesn't really bode well, us lot talking about something serious, but we're going to have a chat about mental health in general, because this time of year it's vitally important to address it properly. And so I guess I think we'll just discuss sort of the challenges that we're sort of facing this time of year and just in general. Maybe have a good old chinwag about sort of how we deal with those, and then we'll see where the conversation takes us. So let's start with you, Kyle, as it was sort of, it's an idea that you put forward. I'll sort of let you take the reins on this one.
Yeah, it's I think it took me a while to probably get to this point. I think to be able to speak about it so openly, because I don't think you realise quite until you're in the middle of it all just how tough it is. And it tends to creep up on you. It's not like for me, it wasn't a sudden, I woke up one day and felt really low. It was just kind of chipped away, kind of gradually. And it's been a year where, I moved out to another country for 3 months, and that was a lot of work. And that was, I was by myself a lot of the time, and I had a lot of downtime to myself as well. So I guess in those times when I was by myself, I just really struggled a lot, and you don't really feel like you can talk to anyone, which is really funny, because whenever you talk about mental health with people, you're always like, oh, mate, just talk to me anytime, whatever. But when it comes to you never really feel like you can reach out. And then obviously coming back from there, and then the summer, and then I kind of got myself in a position where I guess I was just so stressed and low, I didn't really know what to do. And then I kind of like threw myself into another project when we started the 1887. And kind of, I think the sort of opening game backlash, I guess, we got from a lot of fans over it that took issue with what we were trying to do. And then some of the preceding comments, I guess, in the games that followed that was, again, another thing that kind of just added to it. It was just sort of chipping away at you. But they weren't sort of like directly at me, but they were at the group. And you feel like, as you were kind of at the front of it, that it was just aimed at you. And that just added more. And then I get into the winter, and I struggle anyway with my mental health. When it gets darker early, it tends to really kind of mess with my head a lot more. And then sort of like professionally speaking, I was in a bit of a bad place, and I was a bit lost, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I guess I hit breaking point in probably the end of August, early September. I was just sort of desperate, and I just didn't really know what to do or who to sort of turn to in the end. And luckily, I kind of, when I hit that point, I started going, look, I need to start talking to people about this. And I sort of talked to my girlfriend, and then I sort of gradually kind of started to branch out with speaking to, I was speaking to Aaron and then a few more people from football. And you kind of start to realise when you open up that other people are like, no, so I understand, because I've been going through the same thing. And you think, oh, fuck, I thought it was just me. But you realise that it's not just you, but it doesn't make it any easier. Kind of when you come out of it, you realise what you should have done back at the beginning, if you understand. So yeah, where I am now, I'm in a better place, but it's been good to get that off the chest, so to speak. I was a bit nervous about speaking about it tonight, to be honest with you, because it's been probably taken me a long time to reach the point where I felt I could talk so openly. But yeah, that's me. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers. Like,
I mean, absolutely
that-
good on you, and we will raise a glass to
Yeah.
that one.
Cheers, boys.
I suppose a follow-up question, Kai, was how did you come to reach out? You know, was it was? Oh, hang on, who have we lost there? We've lost Aaron.
No.
Never mind. How did you come to reach out then, Kai? Was it a case of you had to before sort of getting too far deep?
Yeah.
Or did you find
I guess there was just a night where I was sat in with Jess, and I just had a bit of a breakdown, I guess, if you want to say, you know, a few tears, and I just sort of everything that had kind of been going through my head in the last sort of 6 months or so, I just hadn't spoken about it. And it just builds up and builds up. It's like that pressure. You just have to release it and get it out. And then I think she knew that there's something up, and she was asking me for a while. And obviously being, you know, like the generation that I come from, we struggle a lot more to talk about our mental health. It's a lot more difficult, you know, because mental health wasn't really so much a thing, I guess, when I was younger. People were just kind of starting to talk about it. So when I got to the point where I thought, well, had the breakdown, spoke about it, and I guess from there, you're at that point where I guess you think in your mind, you're like, well, I can't get any lower than this. So you then start to kind of, the relief is that you've got it all out. And then I guess from there you can start to, for me, it was just building back up. And it was like one day at a time. I wasn't trying to look any further ahead than a day at a time, and just kind of do little things to help me, whether that was just, you know, getting out more to start kind of clear my head with walks, or just talking to people, but it's really difficult because it was just making me not want to do things that I loved. You know, I didn't want to go to football, and that was part of my routine, like away matches, getting, I guess, even just, so to speak, like much more involved with all the 1887 stuff. I didn't want to do any of it. I didn't really want to talk to anyone, and it's a sad place to be in. But kind of when you get out of it, you realise how dark it all was at the time. And when you sort of step back into the light, you look backwards and be like, fucking hell. Do you know, it's tough, isn't it? It's really tough.
Carl, we've spoken about this a little bit, haven't we, over text, like over a couple of messages. And I said to you earlier today, like, I kind of guessed, you know, that the 1887 stuff was getting to you as well. And could you know, sometimes you can sense, you can tell when actually people aren't in a great place as well. And I think the difficulty that I had is actually knowing you probably weren't in the right space and in the right place, and actually wanting to help, but kind of like not knowing how to help, and like being quite helpless with it as well. And actually, you know, just knowing when to give a call, or when to message, or when to just leave you alone as well.
Yeah, it's like I always, anyone that ever reached out to me, I always really, for me, I really appreciated it a lot. You know, it meant a lot to know that people were thinking of you still, and it is difficult because from my point of view, I've also, like, a really close friend of mine, I've had to watch him go through for the last probably 2 and a bit years with PTSD. So I've been on the other end of it, and I know how helpless it is to try and reach out. But in his case, he just, you know, he doesn't want to talk, and it's his way of dealing with things, you know. So yeah, I guess especially there's a lot of things going on right now, especially money being tough for so many people and families. You know, like even for me, I reached a point where, you know, I had to remortgage my house, and we were looking at remortgage rates that were, do you know what I mean? Like the money was just crazy, and that just adds more stress onto you when you're on top of already feeling low because of, like, financially and where you are and professionally. It doesn't give you there's no breathing space mentally for you. to deal with things. It just felt like everything was kind of like coming at me one way or another. It was just like bang, 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 bang. So yeah, to have people reaching out to me really, really meant a lot. And, you know, obviously my family as well, they've always been great to me. But it's tough, because I guess what my message would be is check in with yourself more as well as a person. Like, you need to check in with yourself and realize when things are starting to get spiral a little bit mentally. And I didn't really do that. My sort of way of coping with it was just to, like, I'll just go down the pub again and, like, you know, have a few more beers. And then after a while you can kind of realize that, okay, I'm having a beer like a few days a week, and then it's like every day, and then it sort of gets to the point where you're like, I'm just sort of, you know, I wasn't getting blind drunk, but you were just kind of finding an excuse to go out and just take the edge off how you were feeling, I guess, for a while. And I knew that that wasn't healthy, and I had to kind of address that and, you know, just be like, okay, look, this is getting silly. I need to kind of take a rain check and with the pub for a bit. You know, it's yeah. But I'm in a better place now, so it's good.
Carl, you mentioned there the sort of the 1887 stuff, sort of getting to you, and a little bit about the football as well. And sort of, you know, we're here to sort of chat about the football a little bit, but how does Wycombe Wanderers and football in general affect your mental health, positively or negatively? Is it something to turn to when you're down, or can that add?
No, it didn't. I mean, I mean, look, let's face it. I mean, most of the time, you follow Wycombe, you have to be a bit manic depressive to follow Wycombe Wanderers anyway. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But even during the spells of like how low I was, I still used to watch the game every week, because it was just it always took my mind off of things, being able to get into football. You know, even just like taking out your frustration and shouting at the screen, or if I did get to a match, it was just being able to, you know, forget about things for an hour and a half, and then, you know, depending on the result, probably feel even fucking worse. Depended. But it's always been really beneficial to me anyway, having sport to watch, especially football, and especially being so heavily involved with Wycombe and the 1887 stuff. I still love it. I still think it's a wonderful thing that a load of volunteers have done with that, you know, their own time and money. But there were points of that summer where it was getting to me, some of the comments and reactions. There was something that was just, you know, a group of fans trying to do something for the love of their club. Was all it was about. And so I guess some of the way it was received in some quarters, and some of the piss taken from your own fan base. It wasn't like it was just despair from day one, but it just kind of like week by week, it could just eat at you a little bit. Yeah.
I think there are lessons there for all of us, really, about, you know, and in particular how we use social media and those comments like that we all write or we all say as well, and actually knowing that, you know, our words, both written and verbal, have an impact, and particularly written words can stay with you as well. It's something that, you know, in the last, I don't know, I've become more aware of myself with what I write and what I write back to people, you know, and just trying to see how they might view it. And just taking a bit more responsibility from it as well. I mean, look, none of us would go, if we were going to the football, choose a football team to go and watch for the football, Wycombe wouldn't be the team that we'd choose, would they? Let's be honest. And I think you asked Carl a question there, George, about like how it helps. And I think, you know, for me personally, going to football makes a massive difference to my weeks. And, you know, this year in particular, and, you know, spending a lot more time with Aaron, getting to know him, you know, obviously spending time with Kyle as well, and, you know, speaking on here, and then, you know, a few of the other guys as well. actually I've really enjoyed. It's been just nice getting to know people, and you know, the football is almost actually somebody else said this as well. The football actually is almost the secondary part. You go down for the day, and actually it's about everything else around it, because you know that's going to be constant and consistent. That's going to be good, and actually, if they get a win, it's a bonus. But that's almost like a vehicle to socialize and to communicate and to speak to people. And for me personally, I'm not somebody who's particularly comfortable in talking to people and talking to people for the first time. And football's like a good way of almost breaking down a lot of those barriers as well. I think we all probably, I don't know, have the people around us, we probably don't know who their names are, but actually for whatever reason on a match, when the game's kicked off, quite comfortable in talking to them as well. And even if that, minute, 2 minute conversation for them or for you can make such a difference.
Yeah, it does.
I want to open up sort of the discussion to the other guys as well, because we had a nice long chat about it this morning, where we've all sort of said that there are things that we struggle with and there are ways to cope with it. And sort of, football can be one of those things, but it can also, like you say, it can sort of add to the negative feeling when your team's not winning. Especially sort of, there's a thing a couple of weeks ago, I think Adele was struggling with whatever you call it, SADS, which is based on the season. And a lot of people immediately sort of jumped at her and said, "Oh, that's bullshit. You've got all this money. How can you possibly be depressed?" But it's a very real thing that people cope with this time of year.
No, it is. I mean, I don't have anything like SADS, but when it starts getting darker early in the winter, it's always lowered my moods a lot. And if you kind of, I guess, like add that on top of if your mental health is poor, it's a bit of a perfect storm. It's good breeding ground then for it to kind of escalate a little bit more. So I guess for me this year, especially with it got dark early and it kind of then coincided with what it was going through. It kind of like it just snowballed everything a little bit.
Yeah, see, I tend to find mine comes and goes a bit in waves, and I can almost predict when it's going to be a little. In a weird way, like you touched on Adele there. Like for me personally, like work-wise, things are the best they've ever been, and in so many ways, things should be really good. And yet, actually, that doesn't always correlate with how you're feeling as well, because actually, there shouldn't necessarily be a reason for some of the things that we feel and we deal with and going through as well. And there's certain things I find myself that actually I can sense when things aren't going so well, and exercise makes a massive part. Like for me as well. And at the moment, to be honest, I can't be bothered to do anything. And I find that my chocolate consumption goes up massively at certain points, which doesn't really help at Christmas when all I get brought as gifts is chocolate. So, yeah, but it's just almost knowing those things that are going to help, and taking the time to do it as well.
Yeah, you're spot on there, mate.
It's hard because, Kyle, you mentioned it, our first instinct is often to isolate ourselves. It's to, for whatever reason, try and pretend it's not happening, or you think you're doing the noble thing by not inflicting other people with it. I've done it myself, and in my job, I work with students who often have mental health issues, depression, anxiety. And so often you see one of the problems is they've withdrawn, they've stopped going to classes, they've stopped meeting their friends because perhaps they don't think they deserve that sort of comfort. Perhaps they don't want to inflict other people what they see as their suffering, their problems. But I think we can all agree here, we would all happily talk to one another or other people if we thought they wanted to chat about mental health. And it's that stigma of fear. It's fearing that the other person might disagree, might do something stupid or rash. But the vast majority of us, we will understand. And I think we all have to play a role in this as well, because yes, it's all well and good saying, you should speak, but I think we have a role to play as well. If we see somebody on Twitter, if we see somebody at the match maybe struggling, maybe they're not enjoying life, maybe they're not having as much fun, have a word with them. Even just say, look, hey mate, you okay? You don't have to speak about it if you don't want, but I'm here for you. Just so they know somebody's there. We all have a role in playing and making that sort of community where people feel they can talk about these things, because it is so easy. Let's be real, it's 6 men on this podcast, and it's a very man thing to do, where you just isolate yourself, where you don't do that. And we need to start making it, especially football is male dominated as well. It's all men on pitch, and if you look at the terrace, it's vast majority men too. We need to make an atmosphere at Wickham games, on Wickham Twitter, wherever it is.
So, here's a
speak
question
about
for
this.
everyone, though. Here's a question for everyone. How many of us, maybe it's raising our hands, going to be these things, would feel comfortable in somebody talking to us? How many of us would feel comfortable being the one doing the talking?
I've had to get a lot better at it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is I could happily all day listen. But and it's something almost we've got to get over ourselves. If we want people to talk, we've almost got to do it ourselves, haven't we?
It is,
and it isn't something I feel comfortable doing.
It's
a perception thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
If people have got this image of you as like being strong and well, look at him, he's always happy and having a laugh, and then you have to be that person that's, well, I'm not happy and I'm not having a laugh and I'm not me. It's that admitting that you're not who you are at the moment. And I think that's really hard to kind of admit that you're not that happy-go-lucky person, which is why you tend to do you know what I mean? Like you withdraw.
Yeah.
Because you don't want people to see you.
I've done mental health training the past 2 years, and the thing that really actually helped me was, it would be hypocritical for me to tell students, other people, to speak about it and then not do it myself. I think if you're willing to give yourself up as a shoulder, you also have to understand that means you have to also accept you're going to have to talk about it, because you can't do one or the other, I don't think. Because if you're just being talked to and having all this stuff piled upon you, you also need somebody to talk to. And that's what really, really helped me started talking to my girlfriend, started talking to my family about this sort of thing, because you do need an outlet of some form. Like, even if it's just having a walk in the park, it's difficult now, but even playing music, just sitting in bed for half an hour, that's one of the really big important things. Have something that does relax you, have something that you don't have to think about. Just, most people have something they love. And if you need to do that for a half an hour, not be productive, that's fine, because it will help you mentally.
Yeah.
I'm going to sort of run the risk of going down a rabbit hole here a little bit, but do we sort of agree as a consensus that it is a bloke thing, that we struggle to talk about it more so? I mean, it gets a lot of attention in the media, doesn't it? Male suicide rates, the number of males who do and don't talk. Is that actually a thing, or is it sort of just a media, I guess?
No, I think male suicide rates have been increasing year on year for about the last 20 years. It's not and so much of that is a stigma around talking about your mental health, and particularly the biggest kind of age bracket, I believe this is correct anyway, basically males around mine and Chris's age. That
18 to 35, the highest. There is one thing about that, Kyle, though, and this is very gruesome, but one of the reasons for that is the different methods of suicide used between men and females, which is a grim thing to say. That is one of the reasons for that sort of thing. But sorry,
no, that's all right.
I think it's, for my generation, I'm 23 now, it's gotten a lot more acceptable. But I can't speak for anybody perhaps a couple of years over me. I'm Gen Z, is it? There might be some millennials in the podcast, and it's different for you. For my generation, it is a lot more accepted for me to talk to my male friends about it.
See, that's the thing for me growing up. When I was in my 20s and at university, I distinctly remember my friend's girlfriend was struggling with depression, and I remember her boyfriend at the time saying. He was like, oh, it's not depression. She's just a bit sad or whatever. She just won't get out of bed. And it's not. I know it's easy to kind of like grimace at it now, but at the time, that kind of was the attitude towards mental health. It really wasn't. It wasn't well understood, and it wasn't something that you spoke about openly. Because speaking about it, if you said to your mate, going, "Oh, I'm feeling depressed," well, you'd probably clear a room.
Yeah.
Because no one would want to talk about it. It would be like, have another beer, mate. That'll perk you up.
I mean, I've got in my bio it says DMs open for this exact reason. Sort of, you know, people who need to reach out and have a chat. And you know, touch wood, I've never had anyone in my DMs who said, you know, I'm feeling really down in the dumps. Can we have a chat? But actually, people have sort of, you know, they message all the time about Wickham related things, and then by the end of the conversation, they still come along and say, I really needed that chat. And it is a really good thing to be able to feel that, you know, even if you make the smallest amount of difference on someone just by having that chat, it does make all the difference.
That's the thing, though. No one is going to go into your DMs or anyone's DMs and say, "Hi, mate, can we talk? I'm feeling depressed." No. It's just no one's ever going to say that, are they?
But then we do have a conversation about anything and everything, and by the end of it, they say, "You know, I needed that."
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think people just need to feel like they can talk. It doesn't have to be about talking about mental health, but by talking about something that you love with someone, that can instantly take your mind off of it, and it elevates your mood. You know, like the giveaway is at the end when they say, you know, I needed that chat, and it's like, well, that's great. You know, that's all, I guess that's all you could ever ask for someone, and it's the same for everyone that's on this show tonight. You know, if anyone ever wants to talk, you know, that's on Twitter, that's watching this, there's always someone there. There's always, like, I mean, us six on here especially. You can talk to anyone about it if you need to. I guess that would be my most important message. I guess I could tell anyone is that you're not alone at all. You might think you are, but trust me, you, me, everyone, we all go through the mill, and I know how tough it is this time of year. So, yeah, that would be my overriding message. Just drop a message. Just talk.
You know, when we. You know, throughout this whole chat, I've been thinking back to a friend of mine who he committed suicide. Must be coming up to about 20 years ago, and it's something I think about so much. You know, I would say there's, you know, most months think about him, and you know, just those questions I find I have myself now. You know, thinking like, what could we have done differently as a group of friends? What could we have done? You know, and we knew that he was in a bad way of sorts for years before, and it came almost like a bit of a joke. You know, I don't think anybody quite realised or saw it as, you know, just how much he was struggling as well. And then to get the news and to find out, you know, what had happened is something that now actually, you know, is there on my mind quite a lot as well, and not wanting to go through that again, and you know, having that pain that you can have with you, knowing that actually, you know, could you have done something? And the reality is, none of us could have done. But it doesn't stop you feeling that guilt, does it? It doesn't stop you having that question.
Yeah, and I don't want to be in a situation with anyone, you know, with being like, oh, I wish he knew that he could have talked to me. And, you know, I guess that's the most important thing for me. It's just that feeling that you can talk to someone, and it's there's nothing you can do once it's done. You know, didn't know that about you, mate. But sorry, man. It's awful.
We're gonna have some Mike Cheery chats next week, aren't we? When we unleash. Damn it, making alternative travel.
I think that's where, sort of linking to what Carl said a minute ago about, like, a lot of people will just chat about something random and then kind of you get to more to the point of it at the end. that's where football kind of has such an important place in things, because especially like we said, talking about guys, that is something that most people, as you see online, most blokes will talk about the football, won't probably talk about much else online. And that's kind of the conversation starter, and possibly why football is such an important place to play in it. And the other thing, like we said, about kind of being careful with what you say, I'm always doing it, having a bit of a wind up on there, calling other fans all sorts and that. But you never know. Like, I've worked with people, and in my personal life stuff, you don't know what people have got going on. You don't know what one little comment can be the last bit they need to hear. And yeah, kind of important why we always maybe take a step back and don't get too into the banter and taking the piss, and it goes a bit, which yeah, we've all done. Which is
let's face it, it's very, very easy to do when you're behind a keyboard and you're not in a room of people. You can't read the tone of the conversation. You're not looking at the person directly. You know, for all you know, you're sending the message to someone and they've got tears streaming down their face. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's an impossible scenario to understand. And look, we've all been guilty of it on Twitter. We've all said things that, you know, we shouldn't have said, and you realise that it was a dickish thing to say, but you just get so caught up in the heat of the moment sometimes, don't you? With being right, basically. We're trying to like one up someone all the time on Twitter. And that's what it's about.
And at the end of the day, what does it really matter? That's the thing as well.
No, that's the thing. When it
comes down to it,
it's bullshit. The whole it's just a bullshit app with you know, a load of random people arguing with each other.
Pretty much. It's the same with like the 1887 stuff. Like we've obviously spoke about it, some of us more than others, about like kind of the people in the comments that we've got off the back of it, and it's like it's probably 90% of them, it's nothing personal. It's just a bit of like, oh, I can poke fun at that because it makes me feel a bit better about myself or bigs up my ego. But actually, what's the need and what's the point? It's just a bit stupid, really, not.
Yeah. Yeah, but look, I mean, you're never going to be able to understand people's reasoning for it. And like, that's what I guess I realised more and more. It's like, it's not personal. It's just more on them than it is on you, because I was well, I'm spending my time and my money doing something for my club, along with other people that are doing the same thing. I was like, well, this is a really great thing that we're doing. So if they want to, if people want to bash it and they want to take pop shots for people that are just giving up literally hours upon hours of their time to make something a success and raise funds and, you know, do things purely for the love of their football club, let's face it. When we don't do it for any other reason, we don't do it because, you know, in the words of one of our famous fans, we think we're dirty big bollocks or whatever. It's just not. You know,
this is true for all of us in all walks of life, isn't it? But like we're all in our own bubbles, and we're really good at knowing and seeing what's in our bubble. And sometimes we'll come in contact with others, but actually, it's actually appreciation at how theirs are, you know, what they've done, and you know, you only see on the surface, really, you know, right at the edge, you know, what people have done, and actually, it's the appreciating actually how comments might make people feel, and you know, the work that's gone on behind with things as well. And that's just in general, isn't it?
Any institution or organisation, people will take pot shots at it when they don't have a clue what's going on, like actually under the bonnet, and how much, you know, manpower and work goes into getting something like that, even just off the ground, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
what really surprised me with 1887 was like people during the summer were very, look, we need to do something about the atmosphere, and then you and 1887 finally came along and goes, we're going to try and do something about it, and you got abuse because you weren't doing it in the exact perfect. It just boggled my mind, because there was a big consensus, I thought, that we needed to do something about it, and then people are just.
I mean, look, let's face it. When you actually break it down, it's been like 95% nothing but positivity, and it unfortunately the 5% that we've had
is what you remember.
Like, and that's the thing, because you remember the comments and you remember the people that you see at games that I went to. You know, I remember going to a game at Lincoln and leaving the game early because we were having car trouble, and then the fan I saw on the way out, I'm not going to mention them, But I was like, oh, she was like, oh, Carl, you're leaving early. And I said, yeah. And she said, oh, I'll see you at the whatever game. And I went, yeah, cool. And then the same fan then went on Facebook and started saying, oh, members of the 1887 were leaving early. And I saw them and I was like, right, okay. So you kind of started to see it was that, do you know what I mean? Like there's little, like, I guess just people like stabbing you in the back that were being really nice to your face and then just chatting shit about you online because, you know, they got a few extra likes or whatever. I was just like, I really struggled at the time anyway to kind of reconcile that with what was going on, because I've always considered us as, you know, we're a family club and we're a really great bunch of fans. And look, I know there's always bitching between certain like factions of our fan base. There always has been, but by and large, when we need to get behind something and kick it on, I've always thought we've been pretty positive. But yeah, that scenario was, it didn't really go down too well with my brain at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has got anything else to add to that, because I think we've sort of covered an awful lot there, and I think Carl, especially the nail on the head. We've all been guilty of maybe piling on a little bit too much, but actually, it's, you know, at the end of the day, it is a human behind the screen on the other side. So it's sort of, be careful what you say and who you're saying it to. A couple more comments coming through. And then I will stick on the Samaritans phone number again, just to sort of get that out there. And I think we'll sort of move on to, I guess, not something more cheerful, because it is a really important discussion to have, but we'll sort of discuss the football and sort of the festive period. But once again, all our DMs are open. You know, do get
always
in touch if you're in down. We're all more than happy to chat about anything and everything. It'll probably be a load of bollocks, but we'll have a chat with you nonetheless. Let's work a little bit backwards then this evening. So I guess we'll come to Derby in a moment, and then we'll look ahead to Saturday and Boxing Day. But obviously the January transfer window is just around the corner, and I have it on very good authority. And for once, I'm not stealing it off a random source on the internet. I've got this from the manager himself, that January is meant to be a very positive month for us. A lot going on in the works already, and an awful lot is very, very close. And so I guess with the January window around the corner and Christmas as well, I guess the question, and we'll sort of go around, start with Kyle. If Father Christmas Carl could bring you one player into the Wickham squad this January, who are you going with and why?
If only I made a video on this.
Honestly, I literally, I haven't got
Dave
a fucking
Tarpey.
clue.
Uche.
Don't start. Richard Cody. No,
if Richie Kone signed, that was going to be running up and down the terrace in some rainbow white fronts.
I will genuinely be celebrating. I've got a bottle of Prosecco for when it happens. I'm not even joking.
I'm not. I guess I wouldn't want to pick out specifically like names, but more probably positions that I think we could probably look at filling. I think we definitely need more depth in the midfield.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. I'm not so much looking at left side because I think Sadly is going to come good.
Yeah, but I think we still need somebody else in there because it's only Sads at the moment. If you think about it, and Phillips who can.
I know. We spoke earlier about Charlie Kirk being released from Charlton.
Yeah,
but yeah, I had a good chat with my best mate earlier, who's a Charlton fan, and he said to me that they are delighted to see the back of him. They said but the main problem was he just didn't try. No effort, no application, and the same thing when he went on loan at Burton. They just said he just didn't try. There was zero effort.
Sounds about Jordan, doesn't it?
And this is the problem. You know, we don't take players on like that.
What would Mehmeti be like anybody's thought?
No, because I think Manning really wanted to sign him, didn't he? Back when he was where was he at? I know he spoke very highly at him when he was at
when he was at
MK.
Oxford.
Yeah, he wanted to sign him.
I think in his first interview,
can't see
he
Messi
said
going anywhere.
But he's been sat on the
he
bench.
said he was very excited to work with them early.
Yeah, but he's still been on the bench a lot, and Bristol fans haven't really rated him in the past couple of months now.
It's probably worth a little inquiry into it. I can't see it happening, but
even like a half-season loan, because he's still got 3 years left in his contract. Manning's going to be there in summer again. Give him 6 months back at Wycombe to let him get his confidence back.
Yeah, I think so. But is he going to want to send into a club that are in 18th in League One, or is he going to want to send into a club that are sort of challenging near the top?
The way you think about it is Wycombe are the club he'd perform at because he's done it once for us, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're a different club to where we were a year ago, aren't we?
Yeah, would he not actually suit us more now this time?
It's the old cliche, isn't it? He knows the club.
Yeah.
And Wycombe do love signing somebody who knows the club, don't they? So I interrupted there.
Let's come to you, Jaden, on that question, because I fear the cat has got your tongue. So I don't think we've heard anything from you since the intro.
Jaden's been sat there heaving.
Yeah, no, my doorbell went halfway through and I was just listening, to be honest. I didn't know really what to chime in with because you were all making good points. So, I agree with Kyle. I think it's more position rather than names. I think the left-hand side maybe is. I think sadly it will come good, but left back is more of a bit of a position of interest to me at the minute. We've only really got Boys. I know like Kane can play there, but Boys seems to be the only real out and out left back / left wing back. Obviously, we don't know what system we're going to be going forward with, whether it's going to be a back four or the 5 that hasn't really been successful. But it's good to hear, obviously, that he's got a load of things close, like you said, George. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I think there's plenty of room to improve this team, and with the rumours that Breckin's going to go back in January, frees up space for another half decent.
And Potts going back to West Ham as well.
Oh no, God, we couldn't do without Potts.
Or move into a Championship club.
See, I think it's more permanent signs. I think Carl's right, position definitely, but I also think more permanent as well, because if you look going forward to the summer transfer window as well, and just looking ahead, there's going to be an awful lot of change that's going to happen. The loan players going back, very few are realistically going to stay as well. And then if you look at the squad and the makeup of it as well, there's an awful lot of players who are getting to that age where they probably do need to be changed as well. So, obviously Vokes, being one, McCleary being another. The other thing that it's not that I necessarily want it to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised within the next 2 transfer windows if we see a change in goalkeeper as well. Because I think if we're looking at the style that Matt's trying to adopt, Max doesn't suit that necessarily as well. And we've talked before about the downturn in his form, and I do think a large part of that is down to the way he's being asked to play. He's an excellent shot stopper as a goalkeeper, and in the traditional sense of a keeper as well. But if you're looking for somebody to be, in effect, another outfield player, as is the modern game, he isn't somebody who's naturally going to fit that as well. So I don't think it would be this window, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a change at some point in that position.
But let's be honest, Matt Striek's massive weakness has always been his kicking anyway.
Yeah.
We knew that from day one when we got him, that his kicking was suspect, to say the least. But then
that
on top
didn't
of
matter
that,
when Dainsworth did it.
But that's the thing though. When you're talking then about giving a goalkeeper who isn't particularly good with his feet, but then going, oh, by the way, mate, play out from the back. I don't know. You're just kind of asking for trouble, and we've seen it because how many? Was it against Reading, wasn't it, when he kicked it straight out to one of their players?
To be fair, at Derby, it was just hoof it up the pitch now. I don't think Blooms is trying to get him to pass it anymore. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lone goalkeeper come in. A lot of Premier League academies train their goalkeepers to pass out from the back.
I just don't see in this window like loan signings there being really much point. You know,
I mean, to be fair, like look at
you don't
Kem.
want to say the season's.
Like Kem did
Sorry?
quite well when he came in. Kem Campbell did quite well whenever he came in for that half-season loan.
But I think the difference was when he came in at that point, we still very much had the season on in terms of looking for playoffs and promotion. I think this now is a very different season as well. You know, it's not that you can write it off, because actually I think you've still got to get enough points to make sure that actually relegation never comes into a possibility. But really, I think the main point has been trying to look forward to next year as well. And loan players are great and bringing them in, and they certainly have a lot of benefits. But I think where we are now as a club and where we are as a team, actually, it's going to be a case of looking for more permanent signings, bed them in so they're ready for next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look. Let's face it. Look where we are now. What were you like? 14 points off the playoffs. You forget about it.
It is doable. It is like, yeah, it's not likely, but it's doable.
I'm honestly just happy finishing mid-table this season, building up. I think Hanlon getting a new contract as well was quite a good thing for the future. He was honestly one of our best players this season before he got injured, and I think having a player like him back next season would be helpful. It's been a massive miss for us, but like I just can't see the point of loan signings really this window. Max, I think we'll keep hold of Max for now. Whether he'll get a new contract at the end of the season is a different story. I can't see it happening at the minute with the way he's played so far. But yeah, it's like there'll be plenty of people looking for new clubs. So obviously we got Scott Mitchell, who's brought in some excellent players, worked well with Bloomfield. So we'll see what happens. I couldn't throw any names around just yet because I don't know what to expect this window.
We need to sign a left back. We must sign a left back. Because
I think it's a defensive mid.
Jacobson's going to retire. Let's face it. Jacobson is not going to play after this season. Leahy is not a wing back at all. Leahy should be playing in the midfield anyway. Yep. So you need to have this. Is what I mean. I can't pick out names because I couldn't even tell you a left back off the top of my fucking head if you'd want to sign.
Jack Curry at Wimbledon be about 500,000. Too much. No,
we'd never pay anything like that.
No way. We'll never pay that.
There was one player who was on a free transfer. I can't remember his name. Many from Ipswich Town left in the summer. Very similar to Kane Vincent Young, 25 years old, good attacking, not great defensively.
What's his name?
I'll try and find it for you. I have it somewhere.
I was actually really impressed with Vincent Young on the weekend.
He looks sharp, doesn't he?
He does.
This is the thing, though. I think there was a lot of things with players that weren't quite maybe match fit start of the season, or maybe were just maybe carrying something a little bit. And I felt that way with Vincent Young. I think he's the sort of player that I'd want to be utilising a lot more. In fact, I would even go as far to say, when we spoke about this, I wouldn't even play him as a wing back or just a right back full stop. I would almost just play him as a winger.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
Give McCleary a rest, put Vincent Young on the wing. He's got so much fucking pace. And I seem to remember he doesn't put in a bad ball.
No.
I totally agree. I would play him wing. I wonder if we'll stick with this, just the back four and back five thing. Just it sort of interests me now. I wonder if we'll stick with a back four because if you're at Derby, we looked very, very solid defensively, but like what you never do as a manager, and this is what annoyed me, and probably why we gave the goal away. You never fuck around with your defence when you're comfortable. And I know obviously Grimmer picked up a knock, but he could have just taken Grimmer off because Grimmer was playing right back at the time and brought on Kane and played him right back rather than move into the five. And then as soon as we go to the five, the spaces in the midfield open up. We haven't got enough in midfield. We're getting overrun. They're playing these long balls through and we concede. And it's just the same thing over and over again with this five back. I don't understand why he's persisting with it. But it was encouraging to know that we did deserve something from that game. And it's encouraging to know that at least we can, at least we look all right in the back four. We haven't put all our eggs in the five back basket and started to and are a bit screwed when we try and change it up because it hasn't worked.
It's Matt Penny, who was at Ipswich. He's 25.
Oh, yeah.
But the one,
I believe.
He was at Sheffield Wednesday on. No, yeah, he was at Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then he went to Ipswich in a free transfer, was at Motherwell and Charlton, and then went back to the club. The one I've looked at is Elliot Watt at Salford.
Mm-hmm.
He got 15 assists last season from centre mid, centre defensive mid. 15 assists from centre mid. Mental. Important thing is, his contract's up in the summer. So if they don't sell him in January, they're getting nothing for him because he'll go to some other League One club. We go to them with 50k, 100k. He's 23 years old. We've got a playmaker there who can play for 5-10 years. Or sell on for at least a bit of money down the line.
You've been playing Football Manager far too fucking much.
What do you mean?
It's more realistic than it was in the summer, but I still can't see it happening. I could still see him getting a better club than Wickham, if I'm honest.
Aye, but it's this. Would another club go in for him potentially? But don't forget as well, we might get money from Al Hamadi.
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it?
It's a very fair point.
It depends.
The Hamadi money is still yet to come in, and it will come in.
I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I've seen quotes of 4 million from now. If we have 30% on that, that's what? It'll be about. Yeah, no, that's what fans are rating him as. But
if he goes for 4 million, I will pull my trousers down and whip my cock out live on this show.
Just out of interest, what do we actually think? What would we value him as?
I'd say like $1.5 million.
To get 1.5.
Yeah.
1.2.
They'll have a year left in the summer, I think.
That's fucking in itself. He's a League 2 striker, 800 grand at an absolute push.
Yeah, but there's no other fucking strikers in England. There's no strikers anywhere in the fucking world. That's why Rasmus Holman cost fucking 100 million.
You say striker there. I'm going to bring in this comment from Thomas. Obviously, I think Sheffield Wednesday are looking to actively get rid in January. Thoughts on Lee Gregory?
It's just not the. It's another old player, isn't it?
I would rather somebody young, yeah. But then again, there's no young fucking strikers who are in any way.
For a good young striker, isn't you?
That's why Al Hamadi costs so much. It's a bit like Jordan Rhodes, you know what I mean? He might be good for a season or half a season, and he's going to clatter against somebody and be out for 18 years on injury.
But these are just literally names that we're being linked with, and so much of who we get linked with, it's reactive. I mean, I remember dying on my sword last season when I stood firm against everyone and said, if we sign Cole Stockton, it would be the worst fucking signing we'd ever made. And we were going, no, look at all the goals he banged in. I went, he did nothing for like however many previous seasons. He had one good season, and then people going, oh, we'll pay $500,000 for him. Not a chance in hell. I don't hear them all coming out now saying, oh, actually, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that was right. We shouldn't have really signed him, would we? Because it's just, this is the problem now. And I guess social media online, people are just so reactive. They see, oh, he's banging in goal, sign him. Oh, he's a big name, sign him. It doesn't work that way.
No, it don't.
No.
Do we think striker is someone we need to strengthen though? Because I've seen obviously a couple of people have said we need another striker, and obviously Lyle.
Well, we have Dale Taylor, Lyle Taylor, and Vokes, and technically TJ can play there as well. But I reckon TJ goes in the winter window. You know.
Why can't he get a look in that?
Alone, surely.
No, I reckon somebody picks him up like Al Hamadi, low transfer fee, sell-on clause. Get him out to a League 2 or Panorama club.
He's the thing with TJ is he's had his chance. I think honestly it's similar with Ali really, and Ali did have his chance at Wickham, and he didn't perform. And he went and he's done well. Fair play to him. Like he's a good lad. He deserves it, and I hope he goes.
No, honestly, I'm the same as you, Jaden. I completely agree, mate. He's found his level. League 2.
Price tags that are being thrown around for someone who's bagged a few goals in League 2 and flopped at League 1 level.
It's not a few goals, it's like fucking 15 this season or something ridiculous.
I'm not being funny, but have you seen the defending for the bulk of his goals? Have you seen the space that he's allowed to run into? Yeah. You're going to tell me he's going to get that space in the Championship? Fuck off.
No, and this is what teams need to consider.
We don't have him to succeed in the Championship. We just want them to get sold for a fuck ton of money so we get the sell-on clause.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. You can go for 20 million for all I care.
Like, but one of the big things about Wimbledon is they play to give him that space. Tilley, the winger, and I can't remember the striker, not Billa, it's somebody else, to strike it alongside him, pulls defenders away as a target man, which gives Al-Hamadi the space to run into as the poacher. Will he get that at a championship club? He didn't get that at Wickham. Theoretically, if that was the fact, you could use Vokes in that role, but we didn't. Will he get a chance to do that at Swansea, Leeds, whoever the fuck it is, will be stupid enough to pay big money for him?
Swansea signed him back. They released him.
He won't get that. And he's not a low number 9. We've seen that. So it's
the other name that's sort of been floated about a bit, and I don't know how he is after his injury or whatever, but obviously Ronan Curtis released by Portsmouth.
He's training at Wimbledon, actually.
Training at Wimbledon, but surely he's League One standard still.
Definitely.
But he's been linked with Wimbledon, Derry City back in the Republic of Ireland, Republic of Irish League, Northern Ireland, and Blackpool. Blackpool makes sense.
Blackpool surely is the
one. I would love Ronan Curtis.
I was going to say, I don't know how long he's been out injured for, but it's been a long time, hasn't it? At least a year. That's a long time for any.
It was 8 to 9. Oh, fuck, I've got 1%. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, he's been out for a while, and I don't know, obviously, someone coming back from that long, are they going to be the same player? But he's got to be worth a shot if he's available.
I mean, he's only 25 at the end of the day.
I mean, that's the important thing. He is available.
He's 25. He's available. He'd be cheap.
Yeah, and he's training.
And he is better than Wimbledon. If Wimbledon managed to get him, that is a coup. To be fair, Derry City, they have a Conference League football, so that makes sense. That would attract him, I suppose. And that's where he came from. That's where he came from, Derry City, before moving to, I believe, Portsmouth. So, but if it's the difference between Wimbledon and Wickham, surely you would go Wickham. And yeah, Ovi Ejaria, I think that's another one. He just didn't give a shit. He didn't put effort in.
Yeah, that's one we don't want to go near. I have Reading fans as friends. They said he didn't care. Injury prone. He just didn't give a fuck, basically. So I can't see him going to Wickham if he's left Reading as well. What a hell of a lot of money. And like we've already said, we don't really sign players who don't give a fuck, like Charlie Kirk.
No.
So yeah. I think
football ability is one thing. Personality is a complete different thing for us.
And Blooms has been very open, saying that he's continued that sort of check into personalities and that sort of thing before he signs somebody. So it's not like he's radically overhauled that. So we're still doing that sort of thing. So the Vanarama would be good. Do you know what? I reckon we need to start looking at Ireland more. We've seen players go to... Yeah. But we've seen players like Andy... Yeah. And Andy Lyons went from, went from Shamrock Rovers, 50k to Blackpool, and was one of their best players in their championship last year.
Yeah.
You know, you can get an absolute bargain in Ireland, and we're not looking at that as an option. We really, really should, because there's some fantastic players in the Irish League.
There was actually, back in the summer, I remember reading a story, let me just see if I can find it, about an Irish striker, or Irish League striker, rather. Yeah, I think this is Wickham. We're going to watch Lee Bonis, who is, I think he's an Irish League striker from Larne.
Oh, Larne FC.
Is that the second tier of Irish football?
No, so Larne is in the Northern Irish Premiership rather than the Southern Irish Premier League.
Yeah.
So that's the top division of Northern Ireland.
Right, yeah. Apparently we pulled back a 300 grand bid for him in the summer, according to Alan Nixon.
Oh,
that's why he said, yeah.
Yeah.
There is some...
the number of the barge pole.
No, there are some good players in the Northern Irish Premiership, to be fair. There was one striker who's 19 or 18 at the time, who was apparently on our radar, but he was also on the radar of about 18 other different clubs in the EFL. and would have been about 200k. Can't remember who that was.
I love that comment that just came through.
Wait, is this not... Who is it?
I do think a striker though is what we need this.
I mean, it sounds like we're all in agreement that it's a striker or a left back.
We're yet
really.
to see the best of
And
Lyle.
it
Really,
sounds like
aren't
there's
we?
a few deals in the pipeline.
Lyle doesn't really seem fully fit either. I think we sort of rushed him in a little bit rather than giving him the time to sort of acclimatise, because obviously the injury to Hanlon it came about so quickly, and we just sort of thrust Lyle in. We weren't in a transfer window, so we couldn't have signed anyone. I think he did well against Derby in the first half, if I'm honest. He offered a little bit more than what we've seen from any of our strikers so far, but now Vokes back as well. I really hope Dale can kick on, because there's definitely plenty of ability. It's just we're lacking a clinical striker, and it's something I never really associate with Wickham, having a sort of 15 goal a season striker. I know we had that with Vokes the other year, but you never really see them at Wickham, and it's just we need to find that and find the striker for the future that suits Bloomfield's play style. And I think maybe it could well be Hanlon, but obviously we can't use him for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all were like very optimistic. I think we have to accept this as a transition season, like a proper full-on squad rebuild sort of thing. I think we were all optimistic at the start. Bloomfield's and we were all hoping we could push for promotion. I think that myth has been a bit dispelled given our past 10 games. I think we're looking at maybe some new players in winter, and maybe a Bristol shitty trophy motor fucking cup run, whatever the fuck it's called. you know what I mean? The EFL trophy.
The Bristol Street Motors.
But
they're quite good cars. These are not shitty ones.
No, but is it bad that I actually kind of miss Papa John's now? But would anybody here love a wee day at the Wembley in that trophy? I think nobody would.
Oh yeah, I'd shamelessly go. I'd be all for the competition if we got to Wembley.
If we lost, we lost.
And I think we might not be as good in the league, but I think all of us would back us on the day to have a go at any team we're up against in the final, whatever it is. We're in the quarterfinals now, are we?
I think so. Yeah.
I think
No, it's last 16, isn't it?
Is it last 16? I don't know. I don't know what it is. But like all the teams left, I would rate us to have a go at it at the very least. So why wouldn't we have a wee day at the Wembley? And I would consider that a fairly successful season. But you look at Tafazoli's not been up to it. Max has been poor. We've got no left backs apart from Boys. Grimmer and McCarthy are dead. You've got Scowen and Phillips. Phillips will be going at the end of the season. Potts will be going at the end of the season. Boys will be going at the end of the season. Lyle Taylor and Vokes are 33. We still have a lot of work to do in terms of this squad. And a lot of these players at the end of the day are still Ainsworth players.
Yeah.
As much as we got in 8 and sold or got rid of so many, about 2/3 of this squad are still Gareth Ainsworth players. Let's be real. There's quality in them, but they're still Ainsworth players. So, and it's just frustrating because I do genuinely think sometimes whenever it gets rough, they revert back to Ainsworth style football.
Absolutely.
I've seen it from Chris Freno, especially whenever it gets really tough. Chris stops looking for the pass and just goes, right, hoof it. And he's just texted me what Phillips is leaving. Yes, so Phillips is on loan from West Ham United. No, he's on loan from Crystal Palace. So he will be leaving at the end of his loan at the end of this summer, unless we somehow happen to buy him.
Can't see that happening.
7,000.
7,000 Wickham win. No.
4.
How many did we bring to the playoff? Was it not like 21?
22,000, I think it was. Something like that.
You could get like 10k at least.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, like I think we've got a really, really good part-time fan base that all come out of the woodwork when it matters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where they come from. I don't know where the 22,000 fucking came from at Wembley. When they sold 22,000, I went, who the fuck are these people?
But most of them, that's like their only game they've ever been to. Like, I know people that go, did you go to Wembley? Oh, you support Wickham. Did you go to Wembley? I'm like, yeah, they went, yeah, me too. You've been since? No.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have thought there were probably 12,000 actual fans there. And then I think the other 10,000 were all West Ham fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad. I went with my dad. To be fair to him, my dad's not a massive Wickham fan. But he went to Exeter. Both Exeters started a season, ended last season. He went to Wembley with me. And he you know, we obviously did our, Phil did the sort of, We Are Wickham sort of thing. And then the Sunderland did theirs. And they started singing afterwards, and he just went, yeah, you can tell they're like a different sort of football club than we are. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, a lot of these people in the Wickham crowd look like they're here for a day out, not for a football match sort of thing.
No, I mean, to be honest with us, I think Wickham Wanderers actually in High Wycombe, I think if you're there and you don't support the club, we're kind of like, the best analogy I can give it is like, when you see like that girl that you sort of hooked up with a few years back, and then you randomly bump into her again in a bar, and you're like, let's have a go. one more time for the memory.
Just for old time's sake, fucking hell. But fuck it, yeah. It's Annie's like desperately texting me saying Phillips cannot leave.
Sorry, Annie. He's got
Did you not tell her he's online? Oh.
Yeah, I literally said it here. She's watching as well, and she's just she said, "What? Phillips is leaving? No, I forbid it. Buy him." So I think I'm gonna have to win the lottery, lads. So
get on the phone to Rob or our Kazakhstani investor.
I'll tell you, Annie, why don't you start a crowdfund for him?
Oh, Kazakh billionaire.
Yeah,
I'm talking that. Oh yeah, what's that? Didn't we do that under the trust ownership? We did the scheme to buy a player where you put in a certain amount of money.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
£500.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah,
Oh,
could we do that? Could we do that for Killian?
Probably be more like the 250 club this time.
Right. Yeah. So, how much do you think? Like 500,000?
Sorry, to buy Killian Phillips.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not a fee we can afford, basically.
I mean, even if they would sell him to us, that's fine. But I mean, wages on top. I mean, what do you even value him at?
If 500 people all give £100, we might be able to afford the initial bid that will get rejected.
Yeah.
Put it this way. When we had Easy on loan with us back in that 16-17 season, back then, I'm sure we would have been having conversations about we should sign him. Now, I'm not saying that Phillips is going to go on to reach the likes of that, but who fucking knows? What I'm saying is, there's just no way. He's a top academy prospect who's obviously doing incredibly well. Look, but I'll throw it back at you. That's like saying we're going to sign Freddie Potts. It's just not going to happen.
He wants it to happen, doesn't he? But...
Yeah. I just need a good Irish player at the club. You know?
Ronan Curtis. Coming.
Yeah, Ronan Curtis. There you go.
Yeah.
Like Horgan just let me down so much. He did. I was so excited about Horgan, and he just did not have any of it.
He was such a nice bloke.
He was a lovely lad.
I think for me, Horgan was probably the biggest disappointment I've ever seen in a Wickham shirt.
Really?
Because his actual how good he was when you knew how good he was. Yeah, and he just didn't do it, and it was so frustrating because he had moments, didn't he? He had flashes where you were like, "Fuck me."
What about Jakubiak?
Oh god,
fucking hell.
What's he up to now? Can we sign him?
And in Scotland somewhere.
I think he's in Scotland. I still remember very vividly that moment against who was it against in League Two
Exeter.
When he bottled it.
when he ducked for that header. I still remember that so clearly.
Dunfermline Athletic. He's only 27. He can still improve, lads. He's got no goals for them this season.
Right, I'm shutting this down now. Move on.
Should we while we're at it as well?
Right, let's talk about last weekend then. Derby away. I don't think there's too much to mention other than the late equaliser. I understand that you were all there, weren't you? So I mean, I fucking missed. I'm absolutely gutted that I've missed our first last minute goal in about 3 years. Bloomfield has come out and he said we haven't had enough of those this season. A very special moment. What did you all make of it? First of all, I guess
it was a good game. We looked a lot better defensively, I thought. Apart from that one goal where I don't know whether it's a straight mistake or it's just unlucky, where he basically parries it to the goal scorer.
I think it's better.
I thought he was unlucky.
Yeah, I'm flip flop between it's just unlucky he was there or he should have done better with a parry. But
you're looking at the reaction time of that ball coming in.
Yeah.
You haven't got a lot of time to think about where you're putting the ball to.
Yeah. But I thought apart from that, they were only limited to half chances. You know, flashes of long shots or the occasional. And I thought we didn't maybe create as much going forward. I thought they were lucky not to be down to 10 men, considering what's that horrific tackle.
I think that could have gone either way.
It was because the ref didn't see it. The ref was in a bad angle.
They haven't got the benefit. When you see it in slow motion, it's fine. But when you watch it real time, it's very hard to make that instant,
judgment.
It depends what angle you're at as well that she's looking at it from. I
don't know about you. Did you see like Lyle Taylor's shirt was lucky not to be ripped by the end of that match? The way they were dragging him about. Like, he didn't get. I don't think he got a single foul against him, and every time the ball came near him, they had his shirt hanging off him. And
the ref was really good though.
Yeah, the ref was. The ref, to be fair to her, she was fantastic. I can see why she's ref in a Premier League game because, like, I thought she was very, very good.
I think I could summarise the game quite easily, and then we can sort of crack on with it. We fully deserved the point.
Yeah,
move on.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's quite nice.
I mean, it's a start.
Really benefit, Kyle. it's quite relieving not to see you ripping into her.
Well, no. I honestly,
I've got to agree.
She genuinely, she had a fucking fantastic game. I've got no idea where I'm reading these deluded comments from the Derby fans saying that she lost control of the game and.
It wasn't a penalty. I've seen some of them say like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't.
There was no penalty for them. Give over, you pricks.
Like it was, the thing is though, like it's simple for me. You can say it wasn't a penalty, but what's happened is defender's the wrong side. He's allowed Wheeler to get goal side of him anyway.
Yeah,
right. You've gone in with a stupid challenge. You've given a referee a decision to make. Now that's not on Wheeler. That's on their defender.
Wheeler's done the right thing.
You've given the referee a decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Done. Like, we deserved the point. Fantastic game. Referee had a fantastic game. There we go. Thank you to the 475 fans and the. I heard there were a few of our fans that left early.
Oh, what a shame!
Oh dear. No.
Oh dear.
I don't want to name those ones, but the ones that were very vocal about screaming about Bloomfield out were the ones that were first out the door.
Yeah. It was just much improved.
Should we talk about Port Vale?
Let's talk about Port Vale. I mean, we'll chat about sort of Port Vale generally first of all, and then move on to the obvious talking point on their side of things. Big cup game for them on Wednesday. Not Wednesday, so it was Tuesday, which they've lost. And actually, I think they've had a long schedule of Tuesday, Saturday, including the FA Cup replay against Stevenage. I mean, that's surely got to play into Bloomfield's plans a little bit, how much they've played while we've had 3 weeks now of just Saturday fixtures.
Yeah,
you would think so.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing okay. It's a bit stop-start for them. They've won, then they've lost and won, then lost and won, then lost and drew. But on the whole, they've done okay. Well, they beat Wigan, so not a bad team, Wigan, are they?
No.
But then similarly, they've lost to. Well, to be fair, they've lost to Stevenage, Bolton, Derby, which is actually a tough one of games to be them. Like, they probably look at us as a doable fixture. Let's be real. Given our form, they'll probably look at us as being a doable fixture.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be an easy game for us.
No, God, no. I don't think there's any, and I don't think there's a such thing as an easy game for us this season. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Considering the way we've
I think
played.
you hit the nail on the head. They're sort of very good at beating the teams in and around them, but they sort of seem to struggle quite a lot against the higher teams. But I think, like you said, it's one of those games where both teams are going to go into it thinking they can get a result. I think we are more than they do.
It'll honestly be a man-to-man thing because they play that sort of 5-2-3 as well. So it'll probably be a lot of the individual battles. I think like Chislett versus Scowen will be really important. He's been one of their best players by far. It looks like it'll honestly just be a lot of individual battles. We just need to choose the players like Phillips, like Scowen, like Lowe, who are just willing to win those battles. I think we've looked best when we've made it a physical battle almost. Rather than trying all the 18 passes followed by a hoofball up the right wing sort of thing.
Do we think he stick with a four at the back setup then?
Please.
Or does he go back to
Hopefully,
I was going to say
surely.
tried and trusted five at the back, but it's not tried and trusted, is it?
But the only thing I have about the four back is, like, I don't think Lowe or Chris deserve to be dropped. But where do you put Luke? Because Luke has been fantastic for some fucking reason as a centre-back.
But while Potts isn't playing, I think you've got to play Leahy in midfield, haven't you, surely?
I mean, yeah, because you could... I've always said I want a 4-3-3. Do Boyd, Chris, Lowe, Kane, Vincent Young, have Scowen, Deeper, fucking Phillips and Leahy. Then you can have Sads, Lyle, Taylor, and J-Mac.
Yeah,
like exactly, like it doesn't seem like rocket science to me. Or you could have that 4-2-3-1 where you have Lee and Scowen deeper, then you have Phillips up, that centre attack and mid role. I would pay a lot of money to see that formation because I think it would suit us a lot more than this fucking 5-back. I remember about 2 months ago arguing with who was it? I was arguing with somebody on here about the 5-back, and I was saying, "Oh no, give it time, it's working." No, fuck off, get a 4-back in now. Like, it doesn't even make us look.
Start with back four after seeing how it worked against Derby. Why would you then I'll change it back to back five?
The only thing that I can think of is that Blooms won't like the fact it means Boys and Vincent Young have to drop back deeper.
Unless you put someone else in and put Vincent Young on.
I'd play Grimmer. If we're playing a flat four, I'd play Grimmer and then put Kane on the wing.
It's an out-and-out right back. I think Grimmer is one of the best right backs in the league. As a box standard defensive right back, he's up
defensive minded. Yeah,
I
think Boys looks fine defensively as well. He did more than enough last week. It's like Kane. He can definitely offer us a lot going forward. I think pace is something we've really, really lacked. And when we've got Killian, just sprinting around, causing everyone a nightmare like he did against Derby, he's picking up all the loose balls because they were quite sloppy in possession at some points in the game. So if we added Kane to that with his pace, we could really cause some teams trouble. So we got to stick with this 4-back honestly because I think it's so much better than so much better than the 5-back.
Do you think it's difficult for Blooms because it's sort of admitting what he's been trying to build the last couple of months isn't working?
Yeah,
because it must be. It's like if you at your job got told what you're doing's wrong, and you could be doing it a better way the entire time, it would be difficult for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's.
I mean, he spent all the summer window trying to build a team that could play 5 at the back, and it just hasn't
Yeah.
worked. And the question I was going to ask you is, he's saying that we're going to have a busy January. Do you think he might lean towards signings that could fit a 4 at the back in January, seeing how well it's done when we have gone 4 at the back?
Yeah,
very potentially. Yeah.
I think we know some of the signings we made in what was it? The summer. Jesus, forgot that. The summer weren't good enough.
Dementia.
I think we know like some of the signings we made weren't good enough. If you know what I mean. Like I just Keogh and that. Every time I see them play, I just like Keogh. Like I'm not too sure what to think. And like the team selection, I know we've spoken about it plenty. The team selection against Shrewsbury was bizarre. Like Jacobson and Keogh at the back. What are you doing? Just play your best players. You're leaving Chris and Joe on the bench. Like I think Chris and Joe as a duo at the back. They're tall, strong, fast, good at playing the ball. They're perfect. And then obviously we may need to look at left back, right back. I think we're fine for now. But yeah, it's just. I think I could see him maybe leaning towards bringing in signings for the back 4. I just honestly don't really understand what Bloomfield ball is anymore, because what it looked like from recent weeks when we've been playing in the back 5 is just we knock it around the back for 5 minutes, get pressed, shit our pants and oof it, give the ball back. So it's going to be interesting. It might be it might be a January rebuild.
I don't think it's a rebuild. I think it's just a change of course potentially.
Yeah. I was going to say it would only take a left back in to be able to switch easily to the 4-back system, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
boys can play that left back as well.
You can play it, but if you're going to do that for the second half of the season, you've got to have an out left back, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously we know JJ probably isn't the best selection of that, because when he was playing, we had who was it we had at left back? Jordan Obita. Yeah, that was he got injured obviously, and we were just stuck with JJ. And like, no, I love him, but he cannot play left back. Like he's not quick enough at all. And it's definitely a position we need to look at. Probably top priority, but I couldn't throw any names in the hat at the minute because I don't know.
It's a tricky one. I think we're probably looking at another loan, realistically, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, that Matt Penny from Ipswich Town, well, the free agent who was at Ipswich Town is the one that I'd look at.
I feel like he'd have been snapped up by now, though, if he was any good.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason he's been free agent for over.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think.
Aye, but there's some good players I still think on the market just for whatever reason haven't got to the club.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, look at how long Lyle Taylor was a free agent for. Point exactly.
Exactly.
I
swear we've signed players who are free agents in like fucking January in years gone past, and they've turned out to be very good.
Oh, we have. Yeah.
I
think.
I don't think that's.
I can't remember the last really very successful January signing. You mentioned Kem Campbell was quite good, but on the whole, I think our January.
Lewis Wing was January.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that was not last winter, the winter before, but that was winter transfer.
It was very late deadline day, wasn't it? And he wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
The agent, they had to release him so we could bring him in. They sort of done us a huge favour, didn't they?
They did. Well, I mean, Bolton did that as well. What's going on? Why have we gotten 2 clubs to just release their players? I don't get it.
I suppose it gets them off the wage bill for them, and it's better.
They know there's going to be a club for them at the other side, sort of thing. I don't know.
Exactly. I guess it's player welfare more than anything. If you can promise them they're getting paid anyway, but a job that they're going to go and perform for the same wage, it's looking after the person more than the player.
Yeah.
I guess there's one more thing to really discuss in detail, and that is the potential return of Uche Ikpeazu.
Oh no,
he's going to score,
he will score.
I'm putting a 5 on it. I can't lie.
He's been doing the rounds that he's not bagged all season. He's going to turn up to win.
It's written in the fucking stars.
He gets 1 goal for Port Vale, and it's the winner.
Yeah,
if he shushes the terrace, I'll cry.
He's going to score. He is going to score. There's not a chance he doesn't.
I can't give too much away from the chat with Bloomfield on yesterday, but his comments were essentially the reports in the summer were not wrong. Again, he sort of said a few bits that were to be kept in-house, and I respect that, but the basis of what he was saying is that the reports in the summer were bang on, and for some reason it didn't quite go through. But a player that we know more than well enough what to expect, and if he's playing, even if he's not scoring goals, he's going to be a huge pain in the arse, isn't he?
He's one of those players that just being on the pitch forces you to deal with him, and then that draws away from other players, which is painful. Like, yeah, we all know what he can do. Even if he's not on his game, even if he's a bit shite, he forces you to mark him. But he also has that, we've seen it, his running ability, his ability to dribble. So it's... I don't know if he will score or not, but I'd give it good odds. Actually, I'm going to see how much the odds are.
I was going to say they're probably quite low now from the number of Wickham fans who have lumped on it.
Surely.
I'm sure a couple of weeks ago you'd have got pretty decent odds on it, but probably now you're probably not looking at too much, really.
Football.
I think he's similar to Vokes in a way, isn't he? He doesn't need to be playing well to be an issue. Goal scoring and his overall game are two very different things. He's not got to be making goals to be a problem.
I still do wish we had him. Honestly, I really do. I love him as a player, and just.
Do you think he'd be doing better here if we brought him in, or? I mean, it's difficult to tell, isn't it? He's not scoring there or doing much of anything. If we'd brought him in here, would he have fixed our issues per se?
Yeah, you can never tell, really, can you? No. He's obviously loved here, but just because he's loved doesn't mean he's going to do well. If you'd offer me in the summer a choice between Lyle Taylor and Uche Ekpezu, I'm taking Lyle Taylor. So we've ended up all right out of the situation. I don't mind it, but yeah, I hope he gets a nice reception. It'd be good to see him in person for the first time at Adams Park. I wish it was in the light and dark blue quarters, but we can't have what we want sometimes, can we?
No, I want Wickham in the Champions League, so no, we can't get one in the Super League.
Let's not start that.
Oh, Christ. Lads, I'm going to head off here. I'm going to go have a shout. It's great to have you all. Okay.
All right.
See you.
See you later.
Cheers, Deej. I was going to say, I was just about to start wrapping up, actually, because it's been a long old edition, but actually really quite enjoyable. I think we've raised a lot of really good points tonight, and it hasn't felt like an hour and a half. It's been really good fun, but I think it is about time to wrap up. So thank you to you both for sticking this one out, I guess. Thanks as well to Chris, Kyle, and Deej for joining us as well. I'm not sure when we're going to talk about the Exeter game. It might be Sunday, depending on who's available. But again, we'll look at that and plan accordingly, because it would be nice to look at that game in detail and obviously look back on Port Vale as well.
So what do we think very for much. Saturday? We're going to win?
Well, we're going to do predictions, aren't we? Of course, we've got to do predictions. I'm going to write them down this week as well. I'm going to be prepared rather than chase you all in the morning. Let's go. Go on then, Jaden. Give us yours first of all.
See, I want to be optimistic because it was a decent performance last time out, but the Uche Ekpezu situation has completely thrown me off. So I'm going to go with Wycombe Wanderers 1, Port Vale 2, Uche Ekpezu 90 plus 9.
Oh, can you imagine the reaction on the terrace?
I'd be fuming. I would be fuming.
It would be so Wycombe, though, wouldn't it?
It would be so Wycombe. It's like Lewis Wing scoring.
So 10 without a win in those circumstances.
Yeah, 10 without a win, and Uche does it to us.
Jaden's going for a 1-2, and give us yours, Naman.
I'm going to go more positive. I'm going to say Uche scores, but we win 2-1 with Lyle Taylor getting the winner.
90 plus 12, 15?
Yeah, make it hit 1-1 in 90 plus 9, and then Taylor pops up 90 plus 20 and scores. Taylor
just runs the length of the pitch and bangs it in from kickoff.
Because I'm feeling quite good this week after Saturday. It changes your aspect on things when you sit there and listen to the manager and how upbeat he still is. Listen to him talk, whether it's you know whatever it is, you wouldn't think that we're 10 without a win now. Hearing it, he's very sort of upbeat about it. He feels with the players coming back that we've got. Freddie Potts is very, very close. J Mac is very, very close. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Wickham win, I think. Clean sheet would be lovely. And a couple of goals. No Uche goal. I don't know if he plays, to be honest. I'm not sure.
He hasn't been starting for them, really, has he?
He's starting the cup, didn't he? He might even start this weekend.
I think the one we need to look out for is Chisler. He's been very good for them.
Yeah.
I was going to say, they are scoring quite a few goals as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. What was it? 3 past Wigan. Obviously, they didn't score on Tuesday night, but it's a championship side, a good championship side at that. So, yeah, it won't be an easy game. No game is at this level. But the next 4 coming up, on paper, you'd think are a lot more winnable than what we've been through recently. So hopefully we can end this little run that we're on and get a result, whether it's Saturday or whether it's in the following games.
I was going to say, one last question very quickly. Go on now, and you go first.
No, so a mate of mine is on the trust, said to obviously has watched us tonight and kind of the topics we've been talking about, that the foundation of the trust are kind of working together to do that Chairboys chat thing and all that, and that a couple of the people that are running that are going to be on the trust stall outside the Veer at like 1:30, 2 o'clock on Saturday if anyone wants to kind of pop along and have a chat to them. So
Perfect. I was going to say I got one of those leaflets through my door the other week, and I was going to mention it, so I'm glad that you sort of did. So thank you for that. Let's chat. The Wickham Zone going for a 2-0 win as well. Great minds think alike, or whatever they say. The question I was going to ask then, just very, very quickly, how many points from the next 4 is a good return based on where we are and who we're playing against?
I mean, see, Port Vale I can't really call because I don't know what to expect. Exeter, you'd like to think we'd win because they are in shocking form, but so are we, and we're away.
I think they're the only team worse than us.
Only team worse than us, yeah. It's going to be El Spastico. Orient. I don't know. And Bristol Rovers, obviously, new manager Matt Taylor.
7's probably
don't
decent.
really know. Yeah, I'd say 7. Maybe I'd be more than happy with 7. Anything less than 3, I think, is a massive disappointment. Anything less than maybe 6 is a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
I'd likely, God, can't speak tonight. Just fuck it, forget it. I'd at least like 7.
A couple of wins.
Couple of wins under our belt. Do us good before Christmas.
A win for Christmas, I think, is what we'll all take at this point, isn't it?
We've never really been good around the Christmas period as well, have we? So maybe it'd be a bit different under Bloomfield.
Yeah. We'll come back and discuss sort of the games after to Christmas on Sunday. We'll sort of discuss the Port Vale one as well. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in tonight. I've been keeping an eye on the numbers in the top corner because of the new X and YouTube features let me do that. And it's sort of been fluctuating 15, 20, 25. So really, really good turnout tonight. I assume people have got nothing better to do 4 days before Christmas. So thank you very much for spending your evening with us. Thank you to you two as well for sticking this one out, and to the other lads for joining in. Hopefully we'll be back on Sunday. But until then, thank you, take care, and goodbye.